Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Cioffi here on this Tuesday as we take a look. What I have up here is from last night, in case you didn't get to see it, but this is where the eye of Hurricane Maria moved over the island of Dominica, and it really was a meteorological marvel to watch, to see this. But of course, how disastrous this was for the Leewards. I mean, and for the island of Dominica. The eye literally comes in. Now, notice the track is pretty much kind of wobbly westward. All right, it comes in the southeast corner, and Dominica has a mountaintop that goes up to almost 5,000 feet, by the way, and I guess it distorted the circulation enough where the eye winds up traveling over the entire island. It takes this sort of north-northwest jog before it moves off the northwestern corner and then starts its track back to the west-northwest out into the open waters of the Atlantic. But I saved this loop because I just thought it was so amazing to see. This being now the second Category 5 hurricane to grace our presence, as we might say, this season, and certainly the second one in the last 2 weeks. This is just like 2005 all over again. Now, here's the latest loop of Maria, and we'll show you the eye. There's Dominica. It moved off. It's west of Guadalupe. It's 170 miles now southeast of St. Croix, and you can notice on the last few frames, and it's more than just a few frames, it looks like it's moving just north of due west now. I'm wondering if that's just a temporary thing, and then we're going to see it go more north-northwest with this, big intensity. It is impacting motion, and I'm going to be curious to see if this is just a minor glitch in the overall track, or if this is a trend. Because if it is a trend, the longer it goes in this direction, the greater the risk is to the island of Puerto Rico for a complete passover. Direct hit, I should say. Passover makes it sound like it would miss it, but I'm getting very concerned about the fact that there's going to be a direct hit to the Virgin Islands. I think that seems inevitable, and to Puerto Rico, but we're going to follow this to see how long this westerly motion lasts. And sometimes you get this sort of thing happening, and even though the model might indicate a straight line northwest motion or west-northwest motion over a period of, say, 12 or 18 hours, but in that path to get there, you could get these wobbles to the west, and then you get these wobbles that are more to the north, and then it all averages out the same thing at the end of the day. But I'm just going to keep an eye on this going forward. All the hurricane track models, by the way, bring it over the Virgin Islands, and some of them pass it just to the north of Puerto Rico. The global models all seem to be to the south of the hurricane track models, but you can see it right here. They all either bring it over the northeastern corner of Puerto Rico or just barely offshore. They seem to want to clear the Dominican Republic by a short distance, a very too close to call kind of distance. And then after that, a gradual turn to the north being indicated, well east of the Bahamas, if this is the case. And that could be in response to the weakening of the ridge thanks to Jose. And quite frankly, I would prefer this to just get out of here, okay? I'm really, it's been a struggle. I'm getting to the point where I'm mixing the names up left and right. Here's the latest, here's the reconnaissance aircraft that's in there right now. And let's bring it up to the front here for you. Oops. Okay, move to the top. Thank you very much. And the general motion, at least from the standpoint of the centers that they're finding on the passes, this was from earlier. I'm sorry. So this was 928, 946. So this was the the pressure right before it went over Dominica, and the pressure as soon as it came out. So it filled 18 millibars, and then it's at 9:43. Let me. I'll insert the new one if I can find it. I just had it here a second ago. Here we go. I think they may still be in. They are still in here. They just made another recon drop and a drop zone, so we can take a look at what they reported here. Here we go. Let me just. All right, so here we have it, 933, 934, 933, 932. So pressure's been kind of steady. Last pass was the last two passes. It's dropped 2 millibars. We have the bands of 137 knot winds or higher indicated there as well. So certainly the winds are justified, and the satellite view is behind the flight level observations, and you can see where the eye is. So it looks like it's a little bit north of 16 north and just a little bit shy of 63 west. So this is going to be every bit of a Category 4 when it gets to Puerto Rico, or a 5. The wind shear is almost non-existent. We have almost ideal conditions for strengthening. Water temperatures are very, extremely warm there in the northeastern Caribbean at this time of year. It doesn't seem like there's anything that's going to get in the way, in my view, with regards to Maria's strengthening. It could very well even get more intense than it was when it moved into Dominica. So we'll see. This is certainly on a record-setting pace this year. All right, let's look at Jose really fast. And Jose, as we go to the visible, it really hasn't, to me, it doesn't look like it really has moved very much. In fact, the recon pass for Jose shows that it may have been moving northwestward in the last for the last two observations. But you can see the turning here. There's just, there's a core of thunderstorms that redevelop near the center on the west side. So there seems to be some indication that it's trying to hold on to its tropical characteristics. There's the New Jersey coast. You can look at the center is probably not that far from 72 west and about 36.5 or so north. But on the whole, this is not. Certainly, you can see the difference between what Maria looks like, which is that classic hurricane look, and Jose, which is that sort of not so classic hurricane look. Let's look at Jose's latest reconnaissance report, because so here's the plane icon. So he's flying this way. So it looks like on the plane now they just did a center fix. This is from, hold on, this is not the latest one. So let me just, they're supposed to update, and I'm not sure why they're not. And it's taking its time updating. All right. While it does that, let me, we'll go, the screen's empty. Okay. Bear with me, folks. I'm really trying hard to get this right. It doesn't want to load. All right. Let me, in the meantime, I'm going to see if I can get a corrected recon. So we'll go back. Just give me 1 second. There we go. All right, I'll have it there in just a second here. This is the Jose recon. Actually, the pressure, has risen a couple of millibars, and it looks like the center is actually moving from the recon pass anyway. It looked like it moved to the northwest. So, but that, again, could also be temporary. We had this thing stall last night, which was bizarre in itself. So here's the recon flight into Jose, and the red areas indicating, and the darkest red indicating the hurricane force winds. Hard to find the darker red. You certainly, might be this band here at flight level and out here. But notice that the strongest winds have actually moved away from the center. The winds in and around the broad area around the circulation center, not really all that much. Some up to some gales, borderline gales going into this. It's really back to where all the thunderstorms, what convection there is. That's where we're seeing some of the winds 55, 60, 64 up to hurricane force. But again, it's spreading out. It's not like on Maria where the strongest winds are wrapped right around outside the eye wall and along the eye wall. So not the case here. This is why it's kind of making that transition over to more of a nor'easter. The general forecast is for this looping motion to develop. And by the way, the biggest concern for the area up the East Coast is going to really be coastal flooding, because we had the first tide coming in today, and it actually the water was pretty high from some of my friends that were reporting to be along the south shore of Long Island. So the next couple of tides are going to be really problematic as we go into the new moon. But here's the Hurricane Center's forecast as it weakens into a tropical storm, and then it orchestrates this loop between 65 and 70. And that loop is going to be critical to Maria's track in the longer term, which is once it goes north, once it passes through Puerto Rico and heads just north of the Dominican Republic, we could see probably a more northward component of motion that at least seems to make sense. But just bear in mind, I'm not really trusting the long range beyond the pass over Puerto Rico and just north of the Dominican Republic. After that, I think that really is going to depend on what it does depend on what Jose does. It either is going to loop or it's not going to loop, and I've seen it happen a number of times over many years. It doesn't happen too often, but I've seen it show up a number of times that whenever storms are shown to loop up in this latitude, up around 35, 40 degrees north, they don't happen, or they don't happen that often. Matthew last year was shown to do this really bizarre loop, and that wound up not happening either. And the models did it for a very, very long period of time. So I'm just going to run through just some of your comments in here. I'm trying to keep my energy level going, because yesterday was just basically a crash and burn, and all day long with everything that I had to do. And yes, Philip, I did have several cups of coffee already. Good to see you on here. Did the Giants lose, Scott? I had no idea. I didn't even pay attention, to tell you the truth. And James, NASCAR fan from North Belmore, good to see you here. With respect to Jose, Justin Stewart, I really think, most of what is with Jose is probably going to go by to your south. Maybe you'll get skimmed by the northern end of it. Unless this winds up getting kicked out to the northeast, it's going to probably not adventure much further north than 40 degrees north. So that's going to keep much of the precip with this. You may get into some of it on the northern edge, but the bulk of this is going to wind up staying to your south. And Joe Cioffi needs a vacation, which he's starting at the end of this week. Can Jose weaken so much that it won't influence Maria? Scott, that's certainly possible. You got to get it to weaken quite a bit, and the upper air feature, more importantly, has to weaken as well. If it retains, sometimes if it's becoming more of a non-tropical system, the upper air feature may stay stronger than the actual surface feature, so it will have an impact. And Anthony Orr, who's the historian here on my YouTube channel, good to see you, and thank you for all you do. You keep me honest, and that's a good thing. I need somebody to do that, especially after last night misreading the advisory and seeing an 8 instead of a 6 with regards to Maria's winds, thinking it was 180 and instead it was 160. Could Jose die out rapidly? I don't know, Isaiah, if it's going to die out rapidly. I think these sorts of things kind of take their time to fall apart over the colder water because of the fact that, to me, it seems like it's a bit more hybridized of a system rather than a purely tropical system. But I suppose anything's possible. But models all seem to indicate slow weakening, so we'll go with that. And unit cash 08 OB2 or 08. Oh, it looks like 082. Thank you so much for the super chat hit, and that's right to Starbucks, or as I usually call it, $4, and and it leaves $1 for a tip. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been it's hard, doing all this. It really is, but I'm staying with it, and I'm very thankful. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have I ever seen Meta Vinci? Good morning to you. Have you ever seen so many low pressure systems getting stuck looping like they have this season? Yeah, it has been quite a bit. The forecasts, it makes the forecast so challenging when it's like this. And it seems to be that there is an inordinate number of them, and it may just have to do with the pattern we're in. Okay, Island Vapez, thank you. My PayPal is it's paypal.me/JCIOFFI. Okay, I'll put it up there for you. Let me, here we go. And it's .me/JCIOFFI. And that should work. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Anyhow, let's. You need a Tim Hortons in my area. Yeah, sure do. Anthony, you correct me anytime you want. Please. And I have to correct one thing you said. You're as honest as they come. I'm not keeping you honest. No, you. I appreciate that, and but you are keeping me on my toes, and you're not letting my mistakes, roll by. I need to write things down more than I used to. It's very hard for me to remember stuff lately, especially when you got 3 storms running around at once. It becomes really problematic. I'm going to just let me bring up the satellite loop here one more time. There hasn't really been much change in the model guidance of the overnight, so I'm going to just wait till later on rather than go through it now. I'll just wait till this evening. Hopefully things will be calmer tonight, and I can sit down after 7 o'clock and do a live stream with you guys and go through all the models. PRJ Grudge, thank you so much. I really appreciate you hitting the super chat and getting me some coffee. I really need it. It's been very, very tough. After a while, these days, it used to be when I worked on television, you and I first started, that's all you did. But now you've got all this other stuff you have to do, and all the social media stuff and computer stuff and website stuff, and on it goes. It's just it's nonstop, and it really just fries your brain. But thank you again, PRJ Grudge. And Stephen Franco, good to see you on here. And I know Stephen can't wait till wintertime comes and we start talking snow. Taco Bell, how was fishing? I've been catching bass going out. I've been sneaking out and trying to get at least a couple of hours in and doing some bass, catching some bass and doing okay. I'm heading up actually to Lake Ontario on Friday night, and I'll be up there fishing for salmon over the weekend and through the first part of next week. So I'm going to fish the tribs along in western New York, and then head out further west from there. So it's a much needed. I haven't done anything like this in a couple of years, and I really need to do it. The 11 a.m. advisory is coming up, Isaiah. Yeah, but it's only 10:20, so I'm not going to stick around for that. Yep, Stephen, I'll be ready for you for the winter time. No worries there. All right, so look. Fish are my friends. Aham, I think that's how. I hope I said it right. By the way, just so we're clear, I'm a catch and release kind of guy. So I don't keep. I catch them. I let them go. I crush my hooks down, so I don't. I try to use barbless hooks wherever I can. I try to. It makes it a challenge for me doing this. So I just in case you're wondering, I'm very much a rule follower too with regards to New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. I get very annoyed when I see people not cleaning up after themselves when they're up out there. I always try to leave it better than the way I found it, and I would recommend that to any of you who head out to fishing or whatever it is outdoors. And Oswego is a great place for fishing. I agree, Isaiah. I'm going to take advantage. All right, so we're following the latest on Maria and Jose. We'll come back this evening. We'll go through all the daytime computer models and guidance and see where it takes us. Looks like the next stop is going to be for the Virgin Islands in Puerto Rico. As far as Jose is concerned, coastal flooding is going to be the big issue over the next few days from New Jersey to southern New England. Rain and wind, not so much. It is kind of breezy where I am right now, and some places along the New Jersey shore running every bit of 20 to 30 miles an hour with some gusts, and the same for the Long Island South Shore. The winds will probably pick up some more later today and tonight, but all of this is completely manageable. Okay, have a great day, folks. We'll see you later.